Ricci, tonight, we're hearing from a West End neighborhood after a man out for a walk on Boxing Day dies in an altercation with a cyclist.
Very scary. It's horrifying.
This is such a great mystery as to what actually happened. It's just super tragic.
We'll bring you the latest in the investigation and why police are calling it suspicious. Plus,
so many people I talk to are mad. They're angry because this is something they have no control over, yet it invades their space 24/7.
loud cars and construction. A Toronto group is painting a picture of some of the noisiest pockets of Toronto and calling on the city to help lower the volume. And
no, it's not just another restaurant. It was really like a different experience, you know? It was like coming to a home.
After 45 years serving Toronto's Midtown community, a beloved diner is closing its doors. We hear from residents who aren't quite ready to say goodbye. We're learning more about the man who died on Boxing Day morning in what police now call a suspicious death. Before the 60-year-old died, police say he and a cyclist were in a confrontation in the Roncesvalles neighborhood. Dale Manukduk has the latest.
Part of the problem here is it's such a great mystery as to what actually happened.
People who have lived on Bostad Avenue for decades are still shaken at seeing their longtime neighbor taken out of his home on a stretcher.
I just saw from upstairs that he was loaded, you know, he went in, and then I saw the wife jump into the car, and I said, oh, that's, you know, it must be him.
We've had medical incidents on the street. You get the fire, you know, you usually get the fire truck and an ambulance, and then then there's suddenly more paramedic vehicles, and then I think five cruisers, and then they started closing the street up. So it became apparent that it was a serious incident.
Police say yesterday morning a man in his 60s was taking a walk and got into an altercation with another man. The commotion woke this neighbor up.
I heard just a guy yelling obscenities at someone else, and that was about the extent of it.
What police say they don't know yet is what happened between the time of the confrontation and police arriving at the victim's home. Emergency responders found him unconscious. He died in hospital. Police described the suspect as a white man, about 5 feet 10 inches tall, who was throwing things while riding a black bike. This vehicle was part of the crime scene. The neighbor who lives in this house didn't want to appear on camera, but says this stone, marked as evidence, was used to break his back windshield. Homicide detectives are helping with the investigation, but it hasn't been ruled a homicide yet.
If it's targeted, yes, I'd like to get some police presence, but if it's not targeted and if it's random, then there's not much you can do.
Police don't know the answer to that either. Neighbors say the man who died was a husband, father, and construction worker who lived on the street for decades. Police are asking anyone with information or video evidence to call them. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
The search for members of an Alberta family reported missing on Christmas Day has ended in tragedy. Police say the bodies of all three of them have been recovered from Lac St. Anne. Kelly Pelsman, his wife Laura, and their 8-year-old son Dylan were last seen on December 23rd. They were going to go off-roading on the family's side-by-side UTV. They were reported missing when they didn't show up at a planned event. The bodies were found in an area of the lake where the water rarely freezes due to a strong current. And back here in Toronto, from loud mufflers to construction, a group of volunteers is pressing the city to crack down on high-volume noise. Ali Chiasson finds out how.
I count noise spikes, and for example, here, there will be over 1,500 noise spikes.
Standing on the corner with a decibel meter is hardly a day at the spa, but it's Ingrid Boudet's mission to bring some serenity to living in a bustling city.
There's a lot of apathy out there. A lot of people have given up. They're like, nothing's going to change. This is always going to happen. But the answer is, it doesn't need to.
No More Noise Toronto has created an online mapping tool where people can report potential noise violations, such as off-hours construction, modified mufflers booming by.
So, when you have a look, you can see some of these big noise spikes.
But really, it's to provide a picture of the noisiest pockets of the city and demand they do something about it. More enforcement when it comes to loud vehicles.
We need the city to go to the shops that do it and say, oh, I see there's exhaust parts on here. Okay, next week when we come back, those should be gone because modifying exhaust is illegal. And then if they come back and they're still there, then they get a fine.
or construction noise.
We need a day off, an enforced day off, where Sundays are a quiet day.
It's motorcycles, it's exhausts, it's jet skis, it's construction noise.
Claire Kumar lives along Lakeshore and Humber Bay. She says the constant noise had been racking her nerves.
It's actually raising your blood pressure. It's causing more stress in your body. It's not allowing you a full sleep. So people are in denial about quality of sleep and health impacts.
Kumar is one voice in a chorus of thousands of Toronto residents who have participated in the No More Noise survey. And in January, they'll make some noise at City Hall to see what can be done to keep it down.
I will be presenting the data to City Council so that they know how bad it is, because otherwise it's an emotional argument. So many people I talk to are mad, they're angry because this is something they have no control over, yet it invades their space 24/7.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Durham police are warning that an Uber driver who was charged with allegedly sexually assaulting a female passenger might still be offering ride-sharing services on different apps. The victim says she was assaulted by the driver after requesting a ride to her home on December 24th. 32-year-old Anis Ashraf from Whitby now faces 2 sexual assault charges. He appeared in court and was released on an undertaking. Paulo joins us now for our first look at the forecast, and it's been a rainy holiday week.
Tally, it was a wet one in the GTA, as you do know. If you stepped outside, you would have noticed if you did not have an umbrella or a raincoat, you definitely felt that precipitation. Anywhere between 10 to 15 millimeters to have fallen right here in the GTA today. But we do have some heavy rain in store, not only for today, but it comes into tomorrow as well. We're going to start off our Thursday with a bit of scattered showers, and we're also going to start off our day with some fog patches. Now, once that showers and the fog patches are behind us, well, it's going to be a cooler weekend as temperatures will dip down. But currently, speaking of temperatures, your average high is -0.8 is your average high, and -8.6 is your average low. And taking a look at exactly what is happening above, well, that is all that rain we're just talking about. As you do see here, that is the rain which has passed by earlier today. And by the time we start our morning tomorrow around 9 o'clock, there'll be some more rain working its way across the GTA. And that's going to last all the way through, as you do see, till about the start of the weekend. As you can see, Friday is going to be more of a cloudy day. But as you do get closer towards your Friday late night, it's going to be a mix of not only rain, but also a chance of flurries working its way by to start off your Saturday morning. But you know what? Looking at our 3 and 7 day forecast, let's take a look at that 3 days. You do see temperatures will be dropping, your overnight lows get cooler, and you do see that precipitation coming our way. So one thing's for sure, you want to make sure you tune in to Talia now to see what else is in store for your 3 and 7 day forecast. Over to you, Talia.
Thanks, Victor. A restaurant that has been a staple in Midtown Toronto for more than 4 decades is closing its doors at the end of the week. Our Greg Ross caught up with the longtime owners of the Rosedale Diner today, who say it's simply time to hang up their aprons.
That's the one. Beautiful. We're going over here.
This tiny diner on Yonge Street, just south of St. Clair, was jam-packed today.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And it's expected to be busy all week as longtime customers stop by for one last visit. Robin Friedman has been coming here for over 40 years.
It's not just another restaurant. It was really like a different experience, you know. It was like coming to a home and experiencing the family in the home.
That family is the Filars. Husband and wife, Doobie and Esty Filar, bought the restaurant back in 1981.
We would pass by on Yonge, and I would always say, I would like to have this place.
It was just an opportunity. We were young, and
little did they know at the time just how big a part of their lives this diner would become. They'd raised their 2 kids here.
I have to figure out a table 4 that was.
Their son Gil Filar is now the general manager.
I used to run around and make potions with my sister. That was a big thing, like, you know, out of creamers and ketchup and.
2 years ago, Gil's sister was married here.
It was a small wedding because it was during COVID, and it was beautiful. The place here was just amazing.
Doobie walked his daughter down a makeshift aisle on the back patio.
They waited in the garbage room, and they came out of the garbage room, and it was very romantic. We had to clean
it was a wonderful memory, the wedding, Maya's wedding.
It's one of the many memories made here over the years, not just for the owners, but for the customers as well.
It's amazing to see how much this place means to other people. I didn't expect that, genuinely. So that's been incredible.
I always want this to be here. Even when I don't come in to eat, if I'm walking by, I come in and say hello and, you know, or have a drink or have a coffee. And it's going to be weird without this place. Like it's part of, you know, the landmark of the city.
The neighborhood will never be the same. It's an iconic place.
It was Gil who decided he wanted to move on from the family business, so Esty and Doobie decided that they would too.
It's time. It's okay. We feel okay about it. We feel good about it because we're going to move on to other things.
Esty and Doobie plan to start their retirement with an extended vacation. When they get back, they say they have some other projects in the works.
We probably will do a cookbook of going through over the 40 years that we're doing things.
They say that cookbook would include recipes and memories from their 4 decades at the Rosedale Diner. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Dozens of students from across the GTA braved the rain today to help those in need. The group of 6 students practicing SEVA, the concept of selfless service, handed out care packages around downtown Toronto.
As a Sikh, we always are about helping others, and I don't get the opportunity to go out that much, so obviously this opportunity was perfect, being able to go out, express my culture and my religion and the teachings.
The 7th annual Downtown SEVA initiative kicked off at Yonge and Dundas this morning. High school and university students took part in a group prayer before spreading out to distribute care packages. About 250 bags with food, warm clothing, and essential items went to unhoused people and shelters. Welcome back. Israel continues to expand its offensive in Gaza as the humanitarian crisis in the territory deepens. Julia Wong has the latest.
For this Palestinian family, life gets harder by the day. We are displaced, Amjad Hajjaj says, displaced to a very primitive house. They are among the many who have fled their homes. Nearly 85% of people living in Gaza are displaced. As Israel escalates attacks in central Gaza, many who were sheltering in a UN-run school now frantically looking for an escape, though some say there's nowhere to go. The people of Gaza do not need aid, one man says. Our message to the entire world: implement a ceasefire. But Israel warns the war could last for months, and it says it's trying to be surgical with its operations.
My information is that civilian casualties are going down, and that's a good thing.
But the Hamas-run health ministry says the toll is only rising, reporting more than 21,000 people killed and more than 55,000 injured since the start of the war. The conflict has drawn the ire of Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority which governs the West Bank. In his first interview since the war started with an Egyptian TV station, what's happening to the Palestinian people on the ground is more than a catastrophe and more than a genocide. Israel maintains its objective is to free the hostages in Gaza and defeat Hamas, and calls the loss of civilian life in the crossfire tragic. And with the WHO saying more than half of Gaza's hospitals are not functioning, this international team of doctors says more medical help is needed. The Gaza Strip needs include surgeons, care for trauma patients, intensive care units, and surgical specialties, a spokesperson for an Islamic charity says.
There are reports U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit the Middle East again next week, his 4th trip since the conflict started. Washington has been pressing Israel to scale down its assault and take a more targeted approach. Julia Wong, CBC News, London.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is attending high-level meetings in Mexico today, hoping to reduce the number of migrants crossing into the U.S. It's become a pressing issue in U.S. politics, and it's holding up critical military funding for other parts of the world. Steve Futterman explains.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Chief Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to Mexico City today to meet with the Mexican president. The high-level nature of these talks really underscores how important the situation is. The U.S. has been overwhelmed in the last few weeks by the number of immigrants trying to illegally cross into the U.S. Thousands and thousands every day. In some cases, we've had 10,000 try to cross in one single day, and many of them have been successful. And the U.S. right now just does not have the resources to deal with all this. Then you have a caravan of around 8,000 people. It's a growing caravan that's coming towards the U.S., mostly with immigrants from South and Central America. The people who are in that caravan say this is their last hope to make it into the U.S.
Papeles. Yo tengo 3 meses aquí solicitando mis papeles y ellos no me han dicho nada todavía. Estoy cansado de estar aquí en Tapachula, sin trabajo, pasando hambre, pagando casa. No es fácil.
Now, there is a second issue connected with all this, and that's U.S. funding to Ukraine and Israel. Key Republicans are blocking additional funding right now unless there are major and significant changes with U.S. border policy and U.S. border security. So that makes these talks even more urgent. The U.S. is hoping Mexico will make a pledge to make it more difficult for immigrants to reach the border. Will this be enough to satisfy Republicans? Well, that remains to be seen. As for long-term immigration reform, well, that's been talked about for decades, going back to the George W. Bush administration in the early 2000s. Democrats and Republicans all say they want comprehensive reform, but they can never seem to agree on the parameters of what that reform should be. And as all this goes on, pressure continues, especially in border states like Texas, Arizona, and here in California. Steve Futterman for CBC News, Los Angeles.
A South Korean actor known for his role in the Oscar-winning movie Parasite has died. Lee Sun-kyun was found dead in a car at a park in Seoul. Police were called after it was reported that Lee left his home after writing a concerning note. The 48-year-old was under investigation for illicit drug use. His agency says there is, quote, no way to contain the sorrow and despair. And one half of a groundbreaking comedy duo, the Smothers Brothers, has died. Tommy Smothers was 86 years old.
They allow 2 days, only 2 days for a Christmas truce, and then it's back to killing with no thing.
Tommy Smothers and his brother Dick starred in their own musical comedy variety show on CBS in the late 1960s. It was abruptly taken off the air in 1969 because of the brothers' defense of civil rights and opposition to the Vietnam War. The Smothers family says his death was related to cancer. Victor Paulo is back now for a look at our extended forecast, and these milder temperatures are happening across multiple regions.
Tally, take a look at the map of North America here. A couple things to note. You can see that majority of the country here is hanging around that 0-degree mark. Not a lot of places except for up north, which are in the double digits when it comes to your negatives. But as you do get closer towards starting off the new year, you will see a trend of temperatures starting to drop. Speaking of temperatures, when it comes to tonight, well, tonight is going to be a high of 6. It's going to be a low of 6 degrees. Feeling like 3, and you can't see the rain. Now, correction, the reason I do say high is because these are above seasonal temperatures. Don't forget, our average low this time of year is around -8, so it's usually around a -8. What it feels like usually is what it is on the temperature when it comes to your overnight, but as you can see, it is almost 8 to a whole 10 degrees warmer at 6 degrees, feeling like 3 with rain and fog patches. Now, as you get later on, as you see what's happening our way, here's what the fog patches will look like with a bit of that rain once it passes through, as well as to start our day. And that rain, as we talked about previously, will be a consistent theme for not only today, but as you can see for Thursday as well too. But as you get away to Thursday and towards Friday, take a step to the side here. You can see that it's going to be mainly cloudy. Cloud cover and dropping temperatures will be two big things as we get closer towards your weekend and how we'll be wrapping up 2023. And speaking of wrapping up, when it comes towards your Saturday, overnight towards your Monday, you can see a bit of mix of rain and snow. Now that's going to be all over when it comes towards your Sunday, but when it comes to Monday, there is a chance there will be also a 60% chance of flurries when it comes to your overnight. But here's what it looks like for how much rain is going to be falling between now and let's say about Friday 3 o'clock. Only 4 millimeters left to fall. Right about now, around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, about 10 to 15 millimeters have already fallen across the GTA, with just about another 4 expected on your Thursday. So not that much rain expected Thursday in comparison to today, but still it will be a wet one. Now, here's what it looks like when it comes to your 3- and 7-day forecast. We talked about that precipitation store for Thursday as well as for Friday, but you can see also when it comes to your Saturday, it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud. But also that mix of sun and cloud, the temperatures will be dropping. And here's what your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday looks like. Well, we're going to be finishing up our year 2023 with a -1 feeling like -7 with a 40% chance of snow. And we're going to start off the new year with a -2 feeling like -4. So it looks like we're starting off our new year with seasonal temperatures. But until then, stay dry. And over to you, Talia.
Thanks, Victor. Well, Canada eviscerated Latvia 10-0 in a preliminary game at the World Junior Hockey Championship today. 8 Canadians scored in the game in Gothenburg, Sweden. Macklin Celebrini led the way with a goal and 4 assists. Carson Rakoff scored 2 goals, including a picture-perfect one in the second period.
Celebrini poked at the Rakoff. Oh, nifty move by Carson Rakoff. Walks right in, scores! Oh, what a goal by Carson Rakoff! That's what he does.
The Canadians have 2 wins and no losses at the tournament. They will take on Sweden on Friday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. 3 years ago, a Barrie resident received a unique inheritance from his mother, 2 miniature horses. The pair is now gaining local celebrity status. We joined Chris Anderson and his horses on one of their recent adventures.
No, come here. I gotta push the button, honey. Come here. I was like, Ma, you know, you can't have a horse in the city. This doesn't make sense. But I was so wrong. I'm so glad that this is what happened. I was so wrong and she was so right. It's been a fantastic experience and I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm glad they're here and I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I'll never forget it. It's been a great time. Oh, there we go. Come on, Chris. Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Oreo, and this is Ember. The 2 horses originally belonged to my mother. My mother had a deep love for horses, and she wanted to have a horse. My father bought her a horse before they were married. She had to sell that horse. Here we are 50 years later, and she decided that she wanted to have a horse before she passed away. That was her big dream. Before I go to heaven, she told me, I want to own a horse. And 1 turned into 2. So you're looking at my inheritance here.
It's a pretty wonderful inheritance.
It is. I know. I always joke, her dad left her a house and she left me 2 mini horses, and I think I got the better deal. You want to hold the horses, huh? Hold on. And you take them for a walk, and you meet all these interesting people here along the waterfront. The smiles are just so genuine. I mean, very rarely do we smile anymore and really mean it. But when people meet these 2, you can tell. They're truly excited and truly very happy to meet them. So it's a wonderful experience.
I want to go back in the car.
And I'm telling you, on a nicer day, they'd already have like just half a dozen people at least standing there with them. Apparently, it's a 2-horse town. Yes, very unique. The only 2 horses here, definitely a showstopper.
My dog is like the height of my dog.
Yeah. Yep. I ride my bike with them, so sometimes we're on the road and buses are going past and motorcycles, and they don't care. They've been here since they were 6 months old, each one of them. So the city is their life. They don't know anything any different.
They seem like family members.
Well, they are, and it's not just love for them or love for me, but love for the community as well, and that's what I've realized by having the only 2 horses in town. People love horses. I didn't know what was going to happen when I first started walking these horses. All I knew is they couldn't stand in the backyard for 30 years. Being a city kid, I figured, you know, you walk your dog, why wouldn't you just walk your horse? They need exercise as well. That's where it all began. And then the response from the community, you know, everybody loving them and enjoying them so much. I had no idea that this is what it was going to be.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you back here tonight at 11, right after the National. Good night.